Good morning, everyone. My name is Prasad Shirgaonkar. I'm co-founder of Parent Academy. And first of all, a very, very happy New Year to everyone. And as the new year begins, the first thing that comes to mind of every parent is that, okay, the last year has gone and the exam season is about to start. So there will be a last rush to complete all the portions, to start the revisions and to start working on the exams. And like me, like all the other parents, it's very likely that we get stressed out with what our kid is going to do in the exams. Is he motivated enough? Is he actually going to do really well, or is he also feeling anxious? So with all these questions in mind, uh, we decided to actually have a kind of webinar, a talk with Dr. Bhooshan Shukla, our founder of Parent Academy, and to find out what we can really do about it. So we are calling this webinar as Beyond Textbooks, and that strategies for parents for having stress-free exams of their kids. Dr. Bhooshan Shukla is a renowned child psychiatrist. He practices from Pune and he's practicing for more than 25 years now. He has been trained in India as well as in the UK. He has worked in India as well as in the UK and has done numerous workshops and seminars and talks about mental health of adolescents. So with warm welcome to Dr. Bhooshan Shukla. I will just ask Dr. Bhooshan to start sharing his thoughts with us.
Namaskar and a warm welcome to our inaugural webinar of Beyond Textbooks, Strategies for Parents for Stress-Free Exams. Prasad and I are co-founders of parentacademy.in. This is a parenting channel where you can learn practical skills about parenting. Few days ago, when we were ready with our first workshop and we decided to launch, we were wondering, what can we do to help parents in this difficult situation? And then I remembered my late father. When I was a child, there was obviously, like every other child, I had certain vegetables that I did not like at all. And every time that vegetable was served to me on my lunch plate or dinner plate, I would make faces and not eat. So he taught me a trick. He said, choose the thing that you don't like the most, or which is the most difficult one for you to finish. Finish that off right at the start, and then rest of your lunch or dinner is going to be great fun. If you don't finish it off right in the beginning, throughout your dinner, you're going to stay focused on that, and that's going to ruin your fun. So, remembering him, we are going to start with the most difficult topic that is faced by all Indian parents, which is exams. All of us absolutely hate exams. We really wish there were no exams in this world, at least for our own children, and still here they are. And now, the upcoming exam, which is the year-end exam, and some of us will be preparing our children for 10th and 12th standard exams also, is one of the biggest exams of the year. And a lot of things depend on this exam. So let us move on and see how we are going to approach this step. So the aim of this workshop is first to help you achieve a less stress test state. Okay. I know that being absolutely stress-free is not possible, because then you wouldn't be a regular parent. We are supposed to be worried about our children, and we are supposed to be worried about their exams as well. But the lesser the stress, the more fun it is going to be, and they are going to look forward to actually giving the exam. So first aim is to achieve a state of less stress. And our second aim is to get the best possible effort from our children. Because the whole idea is not just being happy through the exams or being comfortable through the exams, but actually doing well as well. It is equally important. A lot of people say that exams are not important, marks are not important. But I think that is a public thing to say, because it's a nice thing to say. In reality, we all know that marks matter somewhere deep inside our heart. Seeing a good rank, seeing a good number is really helpful for all of us. And I agree with that to a great extent. Seeing good marks on your result card actually boosts your self-confidence, even if you are in just first standard. But this comes with caveat. You feel good about those marks as a student only and only if they are your own marks. Right now, so many parents put in so much of effort by helping their children study, sending them for tuitions, schools working really hard, and all of that, that most of the children actually don't own up their own success at all. When they see those marks there, it doesn't make them feel better about themselves, because a lot of them feel that these are not really my marks. Out of whatever says 80% that I have got, I have scored barely 1/4. The remaining 3/4 belongs to all of these other people. So what is really important is how do we help our children own up this success? Because we know that everybody owns up failure, particularly children do, and they feel horrible about it. We definitely want them to own up the success and feel better about themselves. So this entire talk is geared towards helping your children own up their success and be successful. So how are we going to achieve this? We are going to do this by achieving concrete behavioral change. Because ultimately, behavior is the ultimate parameters. People can say whatever they want to say, people can feel whatever they want to feel, they can fantasize about anything, but unless you see a clear behavioral change, nothing really changes. And how are we going to bring about this behavioral change? By following very specific steps. Okay. And the step one in that is eliminating our own contribution to stress. Why am I taking this up right in the beginning? Because children and parents develop a cycle of stress. Any one of these two components, when they get stressed, they pass on the stress to the other component. So if children are stressed, they'll pass it on to you. If you are stressed, you will pass it on to them. And this cycle just goes round and round till everybody is really exhausted, irritated. People start hating each other, and nobody wants to have those exams. So actually, by the time exams actually start, most of the parents feel that, oh, I wish this was over. And same with children as well. So the first component of our fear, generating stress for children is fear mongering. This constant talk that this exam is so important. If you don't do well, horrible things are going to happen. Or if you don't study hard, that means you are not a great kid. And constantly giving them extremely negative examples of people who haven't done well, being stressed, looking stressed yourself, and generating an atmosphere of fear about the exam. That is something, that is how parents contribute to stress. So being aware of how we are behaving, being aware of the tone of our voice, being aware of our facial expressions, being aware of what we say, the words, is the most important thing. You reduce the stress there, and your child is already doing better. Okay. Second component is creating an emotionally charged and unstable environment. How is this unstable? Because typically parents do their best to give all possible opportunities for their children. They spend enormous amount of time, energy, and money to create a good environment for their kids. But they see kids are whiling time away, they are not keeping their promises, etc., etc. So parents feel very angry. This anger shows, it communicates. When they realize that just being angry or using angry words or giving angry looks is not enough, many parents actually melt down into a tantrum. Okay, which is, we all have seen children throwing tantrums, but even parent tantrums exist. And typically, a parent tantrum looks like a parent is totally hassled, going on a rant about things, about how children are ungrateful, how things were terrible when we were children, now what we do for you, and how you are wasting the opportunity, and how it is absolutely ungrateful on their part, etc., etc., etc. And then the parent breaks down and parents withdraw. Then they say, okay, hell with you, do whatever you want. I'm not going to bother you anymore because it doesn't make any difference anyway. So parents withdraw. And they feel that by withdrawing, I will somehow motivate my child to study harder. But what do they see? Children actually don't react to that at all. They just continue doing whatever they were doing. And then again, the anger cycle starts, the anger tantrum withdrawal cycle starts, and the emotionally charged environment, emotionally unstable environment continues in that family. Okay. And then the last part by which parents can contribute to this stress is by sudden change of course. A lot of parents that I know who try to teach their children or try to teach exam techniques to their children have actually never faced these 21st century exams. Okay, they may not even be really good in those subjects. And the most important part, almost all of us are not trained to be teachers. There is a pedagogy, there is a method to be teaching to children. And school teachers are actually trained in doing that. There is a difference in how you teach math to a fourth standard kid and a 10th standard kid. But you and I don't know about it. We just go about how we think is the best way of going about it. And we try to teach children, we try to do their homework, we try to help them in that. And this results in a lot of changes, of course, because we kind of wing it around. Okay, it doesn't work that way. And children get really confused. So remembering these three most important points, no fear mongering from our side, no emotionally charged and emotionally unstable environment throwing them in these cycles, and no sudden change of course, letting them follow their plan. This is our contribution, and we are going to withhold that, and thereby reducing or almost eliminating our contribution to their stress. And now let us go ahead with the clear behavioral parts. Step one is creating protected study time. Okay, it's already January. Exams are going to happen for 10th and 12th standard. They will happen in the middle of February month, which is 1.5 months away. And for all other classes, they will be starting around first week of March or mid of March after 10th and 12th standard is done. This year exams will most likely happen a lot earlier than usual, at least a month earlier than usual, because we have general elections coming up. All right. So first thing is to talk to the family and decide on a specific study time. This may be just 2 hours in the day, which is absolutely fine. Concentrated 2 hours of study in a day is more than enough for most children from first to eighth or ninth standard. All right. Because they will be attending schools, they will be going to their tuition classes for next few weeks anyway. So it starts with declaring that time, actually writing it on a big piece of paper and sticking it somewhere on the wall where everybody can see it, that this is protected study time in this house. And what do we do in this protected studies time? First thing, everybody switches off their gadgets. This includes parents, non-exam going siblings, household helps, and grandparents as well. All the screens, all the gadgets are switched off in solidarity. See, most of the children feel that it is unfair that they have to give exams. When everyone else is having time of their life, these kids have to sit and study at the desk. And they feel this is very unfair. So in some way, we try to help the child. We try to tell them that, yes, it is okay. We understand that this is difficult time for us. We understand that you are not very happy, and we are willing to be with you in this difficult part. So first rule is switching off gadgets for everybody during protected study time. Second rule is making gadgets inaccessible. See, this is something really important. Typically, what happens is that a child starts studying and suddenly they remember something. Oh, I need to look this up. Oh, I need to ask my friend this question. Oh, this is something I have stored that file somewhere. I need it now. They will suddenly look for something, some gadget somewhere around them, or take grandparents or parents' gadget. And there is a very high chance that they will start with a specific task, but then will be lost in the internet, or go on opening random things, and it is going to ruin their time. So it is absolutely important to switch things off. I know many families who actually switch off their Wi-Fi internet right from the main source when it is protected study time, and it really helps them. And the third point there is creating a quiet and silent zone at home. It is a bit like, imagine you're going to school. All of you have been to school. We do our danga, we are doing these things. Then we get into our classrooms, we still continue chit chatting with our parents. And then there is a gong, a bell that rings. And then the teacher walks into the class, and then there is sudden silence. And then there is usually 5 or 10 minutes of prayer, and then the class starts. Or you are in an assembly, and the principal or the head teacher steps on the stage. Everything goes quiet. There is a clear switch. So it is important. You may feel that why are we doing so much? Is it not their responsibility to study? I mean, we have done our time. It is their time to study. They should be doing it anyway. I come home at 8 o'clock. I'm really tired. I want to watch some TV and unwind. That is absolutely valid for 9 months of the year. But we need to start now and help our children stay focused. Our behavior itself should give them a very clear signal that this is serious business. We expect certain behavior, and we all are with you in this. So this is step one. Now we move on to step two. Step two is being a good midwife. And what does that mean? That means we have to deliver this baby well, and we have to support the mother. Who's the mother? Your child is the mother, and the baby to be delivered is the good behavior, right? We want to be with mother. The good behavior will only be delivered by this mother. No matter how skilled you are, it is the mother who has to do all the pushing. So our job is to help the mother do her best. And how do we do that? Again, simple sub steps. Step one in that is getting them started. Say, for example, we have decided 6 o'clock as the time. 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the evening, the kid is going to sit there and do their work. 5 minutes to 6, everything shuts down. We tell the child, okay, in 5 minutes you have to get started. If you want to be like a really doting parent, you fill up their water bottle, put it next to their desk where they are going to sit, and you go and you wait there. Yeah, this may appear very dramatic, okay, but this has very clear implications for children. It means you mean business. So you are there, you're waiting for them, you're going to help them get started on the time. What is the next step after that? Once they have started, the typical thing that a lot of children face is that within first few minutes, they come across some difficulty. And the moment they come across a difficulty, they usually try to struggle with it for half a minute, dump it, and move on to something else. We don't want this to happen because this is typically the learning point. When you take the difficulties head on and you solve them yourself, only then you get a sense of mastery. And without sense of mastery, there is not going to be any success and there is not going to be any improvement in self-confidence. So being there, helping the child solve that right there and then is really important. If the problem is not solved there itself, the child gets distracted and your planned study time is completely gone. So we help them get started, we help them get going and make sure that they have done the next thing. And then what do? We ward off all the distractions. What do I mean by that? Remember that story from Ganpati and Parvati story where Parvati had to go for a bath. So she created Ganesh and installed him at the entrance of the house to protect her bath time. I'm sure all the mothers would love to have a Ganesh like that because we know that the moment you enter the toilet or the shower, the child knocks on the door and they want something. The moment you are in there, having a little bit of quiet time, immediately they will knock. For some reason, all children have this fascination about their parents entering the bathroom or the toilet. The moment you are in, they will start knocking, right? So here, you are going to be that Ganesh who's going to protect their time. So the doorbells, friends calling over, phones ringing, other people making noise. You as a parent are going to help them have protected quiet time. See, we all live in our modern homes, which are very different from our childhood homes. Our childhood homes were quite noisy, were quite open. We could hear a lot of things happening here and there. Now children have their own rooms, they can close the doors, and the concrete walls are much better at insulating. But still, they do get distracted by a lot of other things. So at least getting them started and making sure that at least first 15-20 minutes or half an hour, they remain distraction free is important. And as I told you, troubleshoot early. The child runs into some kind of difficulty, they will get distracted. So, for example, the child suddenly starts feeling thirsty, will walk up to the refrigerator, then start rummaging through the refrigerator, next 20 minutes are gone. Let it happen at that time. But remember, the next day when child is going to sit down, just ask them to carry their own bottle of water and keep it right next to them. So gradual improvisation, not immediate, but day by day improvisation is something that is important. Now we move on to step 3. Step 3 is making this entire experience positive. And how do we do that? By appropriate praise. And one of the best things for a child, the greatest certificate that a child can ever have is their parent looking at them with a warm smile on their face. See, a lot of us actually don't realize, but typically towards evening, which is the common time for parents and children to be together at home. Again, this is typically the time when you would expect the child to sit down and study in these next 2 or 3 months, preparing for the exams. Our faces look really stressed. We don't look happy. We look like, oh my God, this whole world is coming around, crashing around me. Okay. And child feels responsible and they take out all of that anger on studies, on the school, on the curriculum. So it is important for them to see that house is fine, my home is fine, my parents are fine, and I am making them happy. This is one of the best certificates that any child can have, that I have the ability to bring smile to my parents' face. Okay, so happy parents make happy children. So your smile is really important. Everything that you do in step 1 and step 2, you do that with a smile on your face, a very calm and positive tone, and unhurried actions. Okay, what is the next in step 3? A pat on the back. The child, you tell them that, okay, 6 o'clock is your study time. The child appears at 6:05. You're quietly sitting there. Child sits down on the chair. You pat them on their back. Let's get started, sweetheart. Okay, the smile, that encouragement is really important. At that time, pointing at you, you're already 5 minutes late. You know, you're going to waste 5 minutes every day, 3 months, 120 days. That is what, 600 minutes? That is 10 hours. How many days have you wasted? How are you going to do well in your exam? No, let's not get into that. That is where we come to the third point, specific positive feedback. That, okay, we are planned at 6 o'clock, you're already here, well done, let's get started. Not sweating the small change, staying absolutely focused on big and important things, praising the child for every step of the effort and getting them going really makes them stay there for the planned 2 hours. Okay, now let's move on to the last part of that, which is there will be times when the child is going to be really restless. The child is not going to be studying at all. They'll be there right in front of you, but you can clearly see that they are not studying. It is important to empathize with the child and tell them, I know it's getting really boring today, but let us see what we can do. And at the end of those 2 hours, you are sure that the child hasn't studied much. Out of those 2 hours, probably just 10 or 15 minutes was real effort. You can say that, you were very restless today. I don't know what was disturbing you, but you were really bored. But still, you managed to sit through for 2 hours. You may not have studied a lot, but you sat here for 2 hours and gave your good effort. I'm really proud of you. So even in the most hopeless situation, positivity is possible. But please remember, don't make that into a pep-up speech. Just 3 or 4 short, nice, comfortable sentences delivered in a calm voice and with a nice smile on your face go a really, really long way. And that brings us to the last step, which is other important things. Because studies cannot happen in isolation. One of the most important things is sleep. We know that sleep quality is directly related to reduction of stress and memory as well. What we learn through the day, we consolidate in our brains at night. So a good sleep is a good study friend. You want them to sleep for at least 6 to 7 hours every night. Most children actually need 8 hours. Okay, so if the child has to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, they should be in bed by 10 o'clock. This is something really important. That backward integration of time is really crucial. I think in urban India, most children are seriously sleep deprived because their waking up time is fixed because of their school and their school buses and all that schedule. But their sleep time keeps on moving because the house just doesn't settle down for the night till 11:30 or sometimes 12 o'clock in the night. Okay, so making sure that we are aligned for the sleep cycle and sleep needs of this child is really, really important. What is the second step there? It is child must have some physical playtime. Okay, this is not computer games. The child must get out, run around, or do something because we generate a lot of stress through the day. And the best way to get rid of this stress is to burn it out with physical activity. So, whatever they like, let them do that. Your child likes football, tomorrow is math exam, but let them play football for at least 1 hour in the evening. I assure you, they will face the paper in a better state of mind if they play football for 1 hour instead of thinking about football but trying to solve math. It is really important to continue their entertainment schedule even during exams. Some children are not physical play type. They like to do things at home. That is also fine. As long as it does not involve screens, that is absolutely fine. So maybe the child likes to listen to the music. That is fine. Not music videos, but listening to the music is great. Even better is making music. Children who sing, children who play instruments should do that every day, even before their exams and through their exams. Because these are the things which really relax your brain. Because when you are studying, you're using specific circuits in your brain. When you're playing or when you are making music or listening to music, you're using some different part of the brain. So which gives chance for this part to relax while this one is working. We can't switch off our brains. We can just activate different parts so remaining parts can relax. So it is really important to let them play and let them play, make or listen to music even during exams. This is really important. And the last step in that is breathing exercises. Many parents know that typical breathing exercises help reduce the stress. But when do they start doing this? They start doing this on the previous evening of the examination, and it does not work because breathing exercises, stress reducing exercises, need to be practiced for your body to get used to the rhythm, for your body to learn to relax, and for your body to store that relaxation, to have a memory of that relaxation, and the ability to get into that state very, very quickly. So, right now, in the first week of January, we all must start breathing exercises. This is something best done with the whole family sitting together. You know, most of these things, those of you who exercise or who meditate or who are religious must have experienced that when you do these activities in a group, even when you're listening to music, you do it in a group. That's why concerts are so much more fun than listening to music by yourself, right? So you do it together and somehow it enhances. That is how we are as human beings. So whole family is sitting there in circle and something very simple. You know what is called as the box, where either you do a deep in breath and a deep out breath, a complete exhalation, and do 20, 30, 50 cycles of that, lasting for about 5 to 10 minutes. Or you do a simple box breathing where breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold, and you repeat. Breathe in, breathe out, hold, breathe out, hold. Breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold. The same time given for all four components of breathing cycle. You start with 2 seconds and gradually extend it to 4 or 5 seconds. What it does is it takes your entire attention to breathing. And you will realize that as you exhale, your body relaxes, all the muscles relax. In the mind, you can just say, relax as you're breathing out. And when you practice this, The beauty of it is that you can teach your child that when you're sitting there at your exam desk, you just do a few breathing cycles before the paper is given to you. In the middle of the exam, you have come across some very difficult question and it is stressing you out. Give yourself 2 minutes, close your eyes, breathe in, exhale. Just do 3 to 4 cycles of that and you'll start feeling relaxed. You can go back to your paper. But all of this can work only if you have practiced it. Doing it immediately at the time of exam for the first time doesn't work. So at least twice in the day, typically once in the morning before you all start your work, and once in the evening before the child is ready for studies, just by clock, 5-minute breathing exercises are going to take away a lot of stress. So these are 4 simple steps that I have told you, that we reduce the stress that we generate. We create environment. We create a protected time and study environment. We help our children get started and stay with the studies. And we look at sleep, relaxing our brain and relaxing our body as a practice. Simple steps to be followed every day from today. And by the time it is exam time, about a month and a half from now, I can guarantee you that you're going to remember me, you're going to remember this talk, and you're going to thank all of us. I wish you all very happy exams. I'm happy to take your questions. You can type your questions in the chat box, and Prasad will direct those questions to me, and I'll try and answer as many questions as possible in next 20 minutes.
All right. So till the time we are waiting for questions, I have one question, Bhushan, which probably many parents might have. Is Which exams should we consider as important exams? And some exams we feel that it's a life and death situation, and for some exams we say it's like very is not important exam at all. So which exams should be considered as important exams where we should take more effort or more, or should we do this for every exam irrespective of what exam it is?
So Prasad, thanks for asking that, because you know, ultimately your every day from the day you are born till the day you die is full of challenges, is full of exams. It never goes away. I mean, we all adults, we are done with our school and college exams, and still there is every new challenge every day in front of us. So we need to have a system, we need to have a strategy. And what I see it as is that every exam that the child has to give is a practice ground. So we hone our skills, we practice our skills in the exam, and we do even better in the next exam. And that just continues. So there is no question of taking some exams more seriously and some exams less seriously. All exams are exams. They need to be approached with confidence and a strategy. And we need to ease them through with our attitude, with our preparation. So every time, even if it is a first standard exam, maybe just getting the child to sit at one place for 30 minutes to 45 minutes for 2 months will be an excellent start. Okay, so let us take all the exams equally seriously. Nothing is life and death, and nothing is casual. Everything has a specific level of seriousness, and that is how we are going to do it.
Awesome, thanks. So I'll start taking questions which are in the chat, and there are lots of participants and actually lots of questions pouring in. So I'll try to club questions together. So there are a couple of few questions about kids having phobia of the exams just before the exam or on the day of exam. 3 or 4 questions to that effect. So how do we handle phobia in kids?
Yeah. So the whole phobia itself means that there is intense fear, it is irrational fear, and it leads you to avoid that particular situation. That is what we call a phobia. So yes, there are about 5 to 10% kids who develop a huge amount of anxiety around their exams. And this typically happens about 24 hours before the exam. They start getting really jittery, they can't sleep at night, they wake up in the morning, they vomit, they feel a lot of acidity, they get physical symptoms. And the moment they sit there and start writing the exam, all the anxiety disappears. Sometimes it stays a little bit, but it is far less once the paper starts. Breathing exercises started 2 months early are particularly helpful for these children. Their mind gets flooded with these anxious thoughts that exam is going to be terrible, I'm going to go blank, I'm not going to remember everything, questions are going to be horrible, I'm going to fail. Right? That is what they worry about. Parents who try to logically talk to them about these things often experience resistance because anxiety has no logic. What works with anxiety is relaxation. So, teaching them breathing exercises to practice multiple times in the day, right from now, will reduce their exam anxiety quite significantly. And if you feel that your child literally melts down before the exam, do get medical help. There are some very simple medications that work at that point of time. You dissolve that anxiety with specific techniques for 1 or 2 exams, and exam anxiety goes away from your life. So, breathing exercises are very well worth the try. Physical exercise and music also helps a lot. So, give that a try this time. But start now. Don't wait for the examination week to start this.
It's wonderful. Another theme that I see around questions is basically people asking about how do we prepare kids for kind of failure or the exam results, and what if they get like much lesser marks than their expectations, or they fail, or how do we prepare them for that? Do we need to actually think about that before the exam, or
Yeah. So I think the last part is really important. When we are preparing for the exams, we don't plan for failure. Because, see, the thing is that no matter how much you score, there is always going to be some feeling there that, oh, I could have done better. All right. So failure is a very relative term. If we have to really talk about failure, what happens? I have prepared for 2 entire years for a specific entrance exam, and I didn't make the cut. That may feel like a failure. I'm not going into philosophical details of whether this is really failure or not. But those are only that is only one exam which happens in 12th standard. Rest of the exams don't result in failure. They just give you an output of what you did, was it adequate or not. But I promise you that Prasad and we will do a separate session in April or May about exam results and how to handle them. So right now, let us stay focused about being relaxed, being confident, and doing the behavioral change so that we get the best output for this exam.
wonderful. There is a question. Someone from class 9 had joined this webinar. He or she is asking, how many hours do I need to study?
That's a very nice question, and thanks a lot for asking that, because this is really the key question. And I will tell you what has worked for me and what has worked for my children and a lot of children that I have worked with over the last 20 years. It is important to study only as long as you can comfortably do it with good focus. For a 9th standard student, after attending school, tuitions, doing homework and assignments and all of that, I think 2 hours in a day for your own study, maybe even 1 hour in the day for your own planned study is more than enough for now. Okay, you can gradually increase it to 2 hours about a month before exam. And the week before exam, when you have more free time, you can go to 3 to 4 hours. But I would suggest that in 9th standard, practice putting a limit on your study hours. And I'll tell you why I'm saying this. Because many children actually try to study for every available minute before the exam. And that is a bad strategy because it stresses you out. And you tend to waste a lot of time doing nonsensical things as well. But if there is a restriction on study time, I guarantee you that you will study in a more focused way. You will be more interested in your studies, and you will know what is really important for the exams, because that is an important skill. We need to know what is important and what is not. You don't want to be wasting your time on unimportant things just before exam. So put a time restriction and keep that time restriction, because you know that I have to study just for 2 hours. After that, I'm free, so your quality will improve. So in 9th standard, for now, aim for 1 to 2 hours of study on your own, and you will do phenomenally well.
Okay. There is a question which is like interesting one that we talk about for doing the studies. Keep your mobiles off, completely distraction free and all. But one interesting question that since Corona time, actually we did the other way around where we made all the kids go to mobile for everything online. Everything was online. And now some kids are like so dependent on online support for their even studies that if there is some they're stuck with somewhere, they just go to Google or YouTube or something to find it. And this has become a kind of habit that every 5 minutes, if they are stuck with even some questions genuinely about even studies, they want to use some gadgets. Then how can we keep gadgets off during the study time? So
I keep hearing this about 10 times every day in my clinic. Corona has been over for almost 2 years. I mean, just check your holiday calendar and you will know how long you have been frolicking around and partying around, and how long ago we said bye bye to Corona. But somehow the bad habits that we picked up during Corona time haven't gone away. Second thing is that even during Corona times, only schools were online. Studies were not supposed to be online. Anyway, let bygones be bygones. This is January. This is the right time to switch off the gadgets. What we can do is keeping the book and the notes there, help the child study from there itself. They will have some questions that they will need to look up on the internet. Give them a piece of paper, ask them to write down those questions. And at the end of their study time or in the middle of their study time, by clock, they get 15 minutes to look for all those answers. And the computer actually stops, the screen actually switches off in 15 minutes. This is something really important because access to internet where every link is clickable and opens another path is a huge distraction that most of even adults cannot manage, right? We also need screen off time if we need to do focused work. It is important to try and teach this to our children. If my child is not in 12th standard entrance examination, at this point of time, I would say, keep the screens aside, do your study from books, notebooks, and paper. Whatever marks you get with that is absolutely fine with me. Even if it brings you down from your habitual 90% to 50%, I'm absolutely okay with that. But this is how we are going to practice, and this is how we are going to move. If you keep that desire for the highest possible score and no screen, it's not going to happen. To change such a big habit, which is now ingrained, will have some cost. And let's be ready to pay that cost. Just now, as I said, no exam is a life and death exam, and no exam is a useless exam. We need to take all of them at the same level of seriousness. So if your child is not appearing for 12th standard entrance exams, for all other exams, including 10th board exam, let them study without screens. Whatever marks they get are fine. Just let's accept that.
So yes, someone is asking, can we do some kind of webinar for students for motivation, exam preparation, and mental stability? Certainly, we would love to do that. And let's see when we can possibly.
Yeah, that's definitely in the pipeline, and we would be putting out workshops for children as well. Though it is called parentacademy.in, there will be stuff for children and adolescents and even older adults as we go along. So yes, definitely we will be doing that.
Yes. So there are on similar lines, people are asking, can we do for 11th standard to help them make their own timetable? How to make children realize that it's their responsibility to study and take efforts and not parents' responsibility. For 11th and 12th standard students, how to handle stress and
Yeah, these are all absolutely important suggestions, and I thank you for asking these questions. We will be coming up with more and more webinars one by one. So stay tuned, stay with us, and keep following Parent Academy.